white bird. I know it's a white bird.
I wondered what you were going to do with those flowers. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. On this seemingly first fall Sunday, we are glad you're here. My name is Sarah June, and I'm the outreach coordinator here at First E. It's lovely to be with you this morning. We're going to get started right off the bat with a song, as usual. Number 29 in the pink original songbook, On My Way. That's number 29, On My Way. And Janna today. I feel like I played that song at the study. All right. We are a spiritual community philosophically based on existentialist and feminist principles, dedicated to human liberation. We make our spiritual home in this, the Old Stone Church, which was hand-built over 100 years ago by the African-American Antioch East Baptist Church. We acknowledge the racial hostility drove those, we acknowledge that racial hostility drove those African Americans from the area, and we honor them in the powerful history of this place. We also acknowledge that in the 1800s, the Muskogee Creek people were driven from this land, and we support justice for all Indigenous people. For our opening words this morning, I'm going to read us a little passage from my current favorite book called Let There Be Havens. The author's name is Liz Bell-Young, and this little reading is called Beaming. So as we are getting settled this morning, you might, even if you're already in your chair, intentionally settle a little bit more, planting your feet, finding a comfortable posture, maybe noticing a crick in your neck that you can pay attention to. Take a breath. Beaming. Yesterday I picked up my friend Annie. When she got into my minivan, she was like a glow stick cracked open. She was that bright. Her eyes were all lit up and locked onto mine as if she couldn't have been happier to see me. I thought, this is hospitality. This is giving someone an immediate haven. To beam on someone is to make them feel safe in your company, fully welcomed, fully wanted. Even if that beaming can't go on forever, when it serves as a greeting or is waiting at the door, it is a powerful thing. It is beaming on children. It is beaming on a cashier. It is beaming on your spouse, even if it's the 20th time you've run into each other that day. Beaming on friends, people who look lost, people you pass on the sidewalk. Think of the people who beam in your life. Who are they? Who makes you feel like the apple of their eye? Think about those people right now and imagine them beaming on you. Sit with how that feels. Because you can deliver that same glowed upon moment to others. Beaming is easy and free. It is a peace offering, an open door, a gift. It is a reminder that every one of us matters, even if we've done nothing to deserve it. Beam today, beam always. All right, if you have any community announcements, please write them down and bring them up. There's some paper back there on the table with the flowers, paper flowers there inside the door. I'll bring them up shortly. I will read them to all of us. And feel free to move around the sanctuary as you need during the service. We just ask that you do so quietly so that you not disturb others. We have coffee and tea in the kitchen, which is right here at the back of the sanctuary, and there's a bathroom near the front entrance. And there's also a bathroom downstairs if you need that. We'd like to take a moment to recognize any newcomers who may be here for the first time or maybe second time or maybe in a long time. We don't want to put anyone on the spot, but if you are willing, please tell us who you are, your name, how you found us here, how you happen to be here this morning. Would anyone like to introduce themselves? Go!
something years ago, almost half. And I transitioned, and the econ was extremely helpful, supportive. They didn't even blink an eye, there was no stumbling over from the house, none of that. And it's celebratory. And for that, I'm forever grateful. I don't think there was another congregation who could have done it completely. I was around a lot of Buddhists, and they struggle. I don't think they're Buddhists. And that's not bad.
And we always remember Rainer Rilke actually made it all the way to our country house in Conyers, And it was like such an honor. It means such an honor.
And then he gave a sermon about people who put sauce in the fish. So,
Thank you. You all don't seem like newcomers, but if you want to, if you're not receiving our emails and want to keep up from wherever you are, there is a connection. This is for anyone. There's a connection card inside today's program, so you can fill that out, and I'll be sure to put you on our email list so that we can stay in touch, even if we're not always in person. All right, birthdays and anniversaries. Anybody have a birthday or anniversary that they're celebrating today? All right.
So I wasn't here,
Okay.
and this year hasn't been much of a celebration, but I did promise my sister Rosemary that I would let you guys know. On September 12th, while I was away, I celebrated my 60th birthday. I only had dinner with her because I didn't want to make a big fuss out of it, but I'm here and I want to make a big fuss today.
Would you like to come up here and have us all sing to you?
Okay. Can you do it in Dutch, please?
Only if you teach us.
All right, so this is Barbara. I'm going to sing happy birthday to Barbara. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Barbara. Happy birthday to you. Love y'all. Thank you, Barbara, for giving us that beaming practice.
there you go.
Yes, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. We are ready for song number 2 this morning. It is song number 52, still in the pink book. Freedom is a constant struggle. Number 52, freedom is a constant struggle. You can stand as you're willing and able.
Freedom is a constant struggle.
Our fellowship minister moment is next. We'll take a moment to hear from our fellowship minister, Reverend Marcia Michener.
Good morning, everybody. Great to see you here. Great to see some faces I haven't seen in a while. It's wonderful. This is great. I am so glad that y'all picked that song this morning. Freedom is a constant struggle, because if there's any time in my personal life that freedom is more important in my personal life, when I see what the possibilities are, it is incredibly important that we all are being aware of what's going on. I know I'm talking to the choir, but and I can't, because of separation of church and state, I can't say who I think you should vote for. But I think pretty much when I look around the room and I see the T-shirts and the buttons and things, I think that I know. But if you have not voted, please try to vote early, just to avoid any possibility of there being problems on election day. We just cannot afford to lose one single vote. Every vote counts. I got a message from Marty Keller this morning, and she was telling me to tell me that the congregation, the fellowship in Athens, got a package, a UPS package this past week, and inside were bullets. So, I don't know why, that particular congregation was picked, singled out, but it could have been us. It could be any congregation, no matter what denomination, if you're standing up for freedom and principles. So it's incredibly important that if you have friends that you think might not have voted, please contact them. Family, please contact them. Wear your T-shirts and your buttons, and talk to the clerk. I ask the clerks when I go to the grocery store, "Hey, have you voted?" Because this is one of those. We've certainly had important elections. I don't want to downplay anything that has come before, but I think that this one, the implications of this particular election are so important that everybody, we need every single vote, and anything else that you can do to canvass or whatever else, because that's so important. I've had a lot of anxiety around it, so I've started trying to alleviate some of that anxiety. I have started paying more attention to nature, and so that's and finally we're getting some color in the city. So if you're anxious about it, I encourage you to think about what it is that you find joy in, and that you try to focus on that instead of the anxiety, because it's going to happen one way or the other. So thank you so much for being here this morning. It's great to see everybody. And I hope that having Scott and Janna here is just amazing. And I hope you all will hang around a little bit after the service and talk to one another Be sure that you have an opportunity to say something to Scott and Janna, and have a great week. See you next week. Next week's Day of the Dead.
All right, community announcements. I have a couple here. Beacon Dance will perform Saltarello Reimagined. Waiting for Pat to correct my pronunciation. This coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, November 1st through 3rd at 8 p.m. each evening. Performances will be at the B Complex in Southwest Atlanta and are free. Contact Patton for more info and maybe the correct pronunciation. And then additionally, Barbara would like to help clearing out items at my home in Tucker. I need to pack up Lynn's possessions, donate clothes, etc. Please see Barbara Van Helsdingen. Goodness, you guys are testing me this morning. Would you like to correct my pronunciation? This is Barbara.
It's perfect, Barbara.
That's Barbara. Contact her if you can assist her. And then I just want to draw your attention to the art. We have a new art art opening on Friday. This is the art of Swami, a longtime t-shirt designer for, you can guess, the Grateful Dead. Most of these are still for sale. A few of them have been sold, but they're very reasonable in my opinion. So you might want to take an extra look, and his information is back there behind Mary if you want to know more. He's also a very gifted musician, and so you can see him in the Atlanta area wherever he plays. Yes. Any other community announcements? All right, we'll move to our time of silence. We'll last about 5 minutes. You may wish to meditate or just sit quietly. There are candles on each side of the sanctuary and these purple tables. You're welcome to light those for any reason. If you do move around the sanctuary, I would just ask that you do so quietly, and I'll let you know when those 5 minutes are up. Jan's going to let us know how to proceed.
Well, I think the vast majority of you know how to proceed. This is a call and response song. Please stand as you're willing and able. Call, respond, we vote. This is a song from the Georgia Sea Island Singers.
I even remember the keys.
Give me, do not make it hot. We've been playing all the songs too hot. None of us can sing them in the original keys anymore, am I right? Okay, I'm getting a big yes. So I think D minor was 6. Scott?
We had to go to the C. I'm going to the C.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Ain't you gotta ride? Ain't you gotta ride? Ain't you gotta ride?
Well, this is all just very synchronistic, you know, Sarah, because y'all are passing the offering plate twice. I'm doing 2 songs here, so
Perfect.
works out nice and even. This first one, I've been doing this one for years, but I never knew it had a verse until recently. I heard the Mark Murphy version of it, and it's a great verse. It was also written by a guy named Henry Nemo, who was a hipster in his day, and this is sounds like this. You say I'm acting silly. I'm not silly, just chilly. You say I'm proving myself to be a goof. From what I say and do, I've got the absolute proof. Old Father Time checked, so there'd be no doubt. Called on the north wind to come on out. Then cupped his hands so proudly to shout, la-di-da, dee-da-dee-da, 'tis autumn. The trees say they're tired, they've borne too much fruit. Charmed on the wayside, there's no dispute. Now shedding leaves, they don't give a hoot. La-di-da, dee-da-dee-da, 'tis autumn. Then the birds got together to chirp about the weather. After making their decision with birdie-like precision, turned about and made a beeline for the south. By holding you close really is no crime. Ask the birds, the trees, and old Father Time. It's just to help the Mercury climb. La-di-da, la-di-da-di-da, 'tis autumn. Then the birds got together to chirp about the weather. Oh, the jazz birds, you know. After making their decision, birdie-like precision, turned about and made a beeline for the sound. My holding you close really is no crime. Ask the birds, ask the trees, and old Father Time. It's just to help the Mercury climb. La-di-da, dee-da-dee-da, la-di-da, dee-da-dee-da, la-di-da, scope it to me on. 'Tis autumn, autumn. I just want to say what an oxytocin rush this is, being back here with you guys. I don't generally speak for Janna, but I'm going to do that this time. I think she feels the same way. Now this is a Mose Allison tune, and this is really existentialism 101, baby. Fretting about what you're going through, regretting all the things you didn't do, relying on compensations you found, groaning beneath the weight of it, bemoaning the fickle fate of it, complying just to keep your feet on the ground. That won't get you any place, won't excuse you from the race. When you meet your destiny face to face, there'll be no more wrong or right, and no more wish I might. And if there's gonna be rain tonight, let it come down.
Our message today is called Our Work and Play Remains the Same. And our speaker today is an old friend of First E, coming all the way from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Seems extra special, and is an ordained existentialist minister who I've been told needs no further introduction. It is my pleasure to introduce Reverend Janna Nelson.
All right, well, I never finished my sermon, but don't worry, I will stop. So, I don't think it's possible to express how good it is to be back here. It's been 2 years. For a while we came every year. I think when we first moved, 1 year we came twice in a year. And then of course the pandemic. And I tell you, doing this is a lot more fun than having to record a talk. Because I get to see all of you guys. So I don't know if it's living in New Mexico with the emphasis on the Day of the Dead. I don't know if it's the time of year, but I really have been feeling a sense of the spirits, if you will, of those who have gone from this earth and body. I've been feeling them near. My mother's birthday's in October, and it's a big reason why I moved out to Albuquerque to be part of helping her live her life out in her home and being there with my siblings, supporting her dying in her own home, which was a tremendous gift. It was a truly sacred experience. So there's so many people that are not here that were here 2 years ago. And I'm not going to try to make a list of names, but I was thinking about Brother Nathaniel, who and how Sarah talked about being a haven. I'm going to talk some about being a refuge. And this is a sanctuary. We create and recreate sanctuary every time we come together. And Nathaniel was someone who struggled with homelessness and periods of homelessness and with substance abuse and a lot of various traumas. He was someone who called me every week before I spoke to check in on the family, to see how I was doing, and then the week after I spoke, he would call and share how some of the things that I said touched him. So here's this person that much of society had really written off, someone very much on the edges who had this great capacity to be supportive and encouraging, and we helped provide him with the space where he could do that, where he was free to do that. And then last night I was thinking of a story. There was some special event, I don't know how many of you remember Pat Hewitt, She died many, many years ago, but she had said she was very active in the community, and one thing we've always done here that I really respect is we have said, you can take a break. Just because you're in a leadership position or because you're heavily involved as a volunteer, you can say, I need a break, and nobody's going to guilt trip you. Hopefully. I mean, I think we have a lot of sort of aspirational principles, and so, you know, that's part of what we have to do is to live up to those. So anyway, she had said, okay, for this event, I will pour wine, and that is it. Do not ask, and you know Pat, and those of you know Pat. She was very clear, and nobody doubted her when she said, and that is it. Do not ask me to do anything else. We're like, great, come pour wine, Pat. So Robert Stewart, who is no longer with us, whose hugs I miss, whose warm welcomes I miss. So Robert Stewart comes in, and I mean, he had been coming for over a decade by this point. I don't remember what year this was, but anyway, he walked in, taking off his coat, and he looked at Pat, and he said, where do I put my coat? And she said, up your ass, Robert. Not a second of a pause. And he howled. And that to me speaks to a lot of who we are as a congregation. That we can be honest about our boundaries. That we can be direct, and that we can laugh. We can laugh with each other. So, wow. Many of us have worked doing everything that we can, using whatever skills, resources, talents, gifts. We've worked to affect the outcome of this election in a way that will hopefully result in a society that honors each individual for who they are. More important than ever, because there is a degree of hatred and exclusion going on in this country now, and it threatens us. It's a threat. The outcome, we don't know. It's not looking great. So I really try to stay away. One of the great things about speaking here is that my training with Lanier, I was encouraged to use I a lot, to not assume a monolithic we. But I think it might be fair in this case to say we are managing some pretty strong emotions right now. And it just seems almost comprehensible that so many people are caught up in lies and delusion and messages about hate. And yet we have to remember this country was started as an experiment. And the foundations of this country are rotten. Based on genocide, built with slavery, and we never addressed that. The Civil War really never ended because the people who were slave owners are still the people who have the wealth and the resources and the political power, in many cases in the South. So now the walls are trembling. So many of us were active and present during some very exhilarating years of many movements. We had the peace movement, or the anti-war movement, whatever you want to call it. We had LGBTQ continuum movement. We had the feminist movement, reproductive rights, the Black Power movement. all of this, and a lot of the civil rights movement, a lot of great legislation was passed. We saw a lot of progress, and I think maybe some of us thought, we did it, we're done, yay for us. But the thing is, history shows us that there is a pendulum, and we happen to be alive at a remarkable time when I'm capable of holding the big perspective. We are witnessing a remarkable time in this country's history, and in the history of the world, because the pendulum has been going more to the extreme right globally also. So progress is not inevitable. And the thing is, I once read this great book called A Feminist Ethics of Risk. And in it, this writer talks about, she used for example the people who were involved in activism against nuclear power, which I was involved in that here for a while. Went to Savannah and protested and all that stuff. And which was primarily a lot of white people were in that movement. And she talked about how when there were points where it was clear that the goals were not going to be achieved, there was a lot of despair. And she said something that has stuck with me. She said, despair is a luxury. And it's a luxury that, black mamas having to feed their children, people that are struggling every day, they cannot afford that luxury. And right now, we cannot afford the luxury of despair. So, regardless of the outcome of this election, our work and play as existentialists who are dedicated to the spirit of liberation remains the same. We value joy. We value collaboration on creative projects that lift us up. We value finding ways to come together and mourn and celebrate. Lanier and the other founders, and this has all just been told to me because I was not in at the very beginning, but that this was a place that was started also as an experiment. And it was a place to give people the opportunity to have sanctuary from the harshness of the world and to try not to replicate the kind of domination that exists in the outer culture, to not replicate the emphasis on fitting in and being compliant. One of our founding principles that I always really appreciated was be your own chairperson, which sounds kind of dry, but basically it means if you need to get up at any point and take care of something, then you are free to do that without anyone looking at you saying, why are you getting up? Or if you don't want to participate, if you don't want to sing, nobody cares. You take care of yourself. Don't go in the kitchen and talk loudly, but so I just want to say that I marvel at the fact that this place is still here. Thank you so much to everybody that keeps this place going so that we have this place to come back to. Because I will tell you, there is nothing like this in Albuquerque. We have found some communities, and one of the things that we're doing is a few years ago, a friend asked me if I would facilitate a Buddhist study and meditation group. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. And first of all, I want to say I do not call myself a Buddhist. There is just way too much to learn, and I'm not one of those that I'm going to just read everything and all of this. There's stuff I've read that I'm like, I don't know about that. Maybe if I had more time, I would understand it. And also, you know, it was the Western world that put the IST on the end of Buddha. And that IST seems to indicate belief. Like, I believe in the Buddha, I believe in Buddha. And it's not necessary. Because what we do is we call it a Dharma practice, and Dharma is simply the teachings. Well, it's a lot of things, but right now I'm just going to say it's the teachings, it's the practice, it's meditation, it's mindfulness, it's kindness, it's doing no harm, and it goes along very well with some the most recent therapeutic modality that I'm working with, which is internal family systems. And in this therapy is kind of based on the idea that we all have parts, you know. And then the book that goes along with it has a great title. It's called No Bad Parts. So those parts, and in Buddhism, in the Dharma practice, we're encouraged to engage with those parts that feel problematic, to make friends with ourselves, to make friends with all of our parts, to stop thinking about ourselves in ways that tears us down. So in 2011, Parker Palmer wrote, and he's a Quaker educator, writer, and activist. He wrote a book called Healing the Heart of Democracy. And he has this image that has just stuck with me forever, because I feel like we're all there all the time. He has this concept called bridging the tragic gap. And the tragic gap is the gap between what is and what could be. And that every day we have to bridge this. And it's exhausting. I mean, I know a lot of us are just feeling exhausted right now. So a big part of the existential attitude for me, and especially as a member of this congregation, is I can't put my head in the sand. Now, I need to take care of myself. I don't need to get absorbed in bad news all the time. And also as someone who's more a follower of something called engaged Buddhism, same thing. My heart needs to be open to this world. And the thing I'm finding is that I daily carry so much sorrow. It is just with me, and that's okay. What I don't want to carry, and what I really have been releasing through the practices that I'm doing, is resentment, is rage, is contempt. Contempt for people. So I was thinking, I hate hatred. That's kind of sort of is a logical fallacy. It's like cancels it out. So it's like, we cannot hate our way out of this situation. We cannot hate our way out of this situation. We have got to cultivate love and care for one another, regardless of the outcome of this election. There are brothers and sisters that are more vulnerable, that have been vulnerable, that will be more vulnerable. And we need, those of us that have privilege, even a little bit, we need to leverage our privilege to stand with people who are vulnerable. So when I was in my ministerial studies program here with Lanier, I had a lot of very vivid dreams. I'm taking a sip of water, Scott.
I can just about hear you.
You better. And one dream I had, I'm standing on the edge cliff, and there's like deep, deep abyss, and the wind is blowing, and it's just this vast, beautiful panoramic view. And I am not feeling steady on my feet. The wind is blowing. I'm not suicidal. I'm not depressed. I'm aware, though, that there's a big likelihood I'm going to fall off. So, I'm swaying, and then I look behind me to see the view, and I see there are all these ribbons that are attached from my body to the ground. And they're thin, but they're woven together, and they are holding me. So I'm being able to have this feeling of almost flying, and all of those ribbons, all of those strands represented all of the connections with human beings and other living things. And we can be that for each other. We need to be that for each other, because regardless of what happens, our work and play remains the same. So I want to talk a little bit about that being on the edge. Many of us feel very on edge right now. Many people are on the edge and have been on the edge financially, dealing with health issues, dealing with aging, and how do we meet that edge? Now, there are some edges that we go to willingly, the edges that of anticipation and excitement. You've got some big project you're working on, and it can feel very edgy. Fritz Perls, who is the founder of Gestalt therapy, once said that anxiety is excitement without oxygen. So one of the practices that I've been exposed to in the Dharma, and also it's kind of out there, it's sort of coming out there in other kind of psychological articles and that kind of thing, is this notion of leaning into the edge. So this, I have these like spikes of fear. I am particularly deeply concerned about our immigrants and refugees in this country. And sometimes that fear just grabs me. And what I'm encouraged to do, and what I have found is very helpful, is to breathe it in. And instead of like continuing to distract myself, because I have plenty of ways to distract myself, because it's going to come. Because that's the thing, that kind of fear, the kind of sorrow, the kind of rage, all of that, just because we ignore it and push it down, we still have to face it. So breathing it in and imagining it, just feeling the texture of it. It's often very dense, hot. I often imagine like tangled up knots. So you breathe that in, and then you breathe out light, space. I use a lot of cloud images. And then just keep doing that. And it helps dispel the intensity of that. Do that for other people. Do that recognizing that there are, who knows, countless numbers of people who are feeling that same thing, that same terror, that same horror. I am connected with people when I do this practice of breathing it in and breathing out relief. So when I was writing about the edge, I actually got out of bed, which is unusual for me. Used to when I was working on a sermon, a lot of my thoughts would come when I was trying to go to sleep, and I'd get up and I'd get on the computer. I do not have that kind of energy anymore. So, but I'd gotten up and just went outside and was writing some notes on paper, and I had one of those little bursts of like, and the moon caught me. The moon and the clouds. It was windy. The moon was not quite full. And the dance of the clouds and the moon just captured me. And I thought about the fact that it's so important right now. Part of this sorrow that I carry, expanding my perspective, expanding my capacity to also experience joy. And Marcia mentioned nature, and nature is a great place to reset perspective. Looking at the moon, I felt it is a very benign presence, mother of tides. In Buddhism, we talk about 4 qualities of love. There's loving kindness, which also is unconditional friendliness with the self, which then makes it a lot easier not to be afraid of others. If I'm not afraid of those things in myself that in the past have caused me difficulty, then I'm less afraid of other people, you know? Then there's compassion and joy. And the last one is equanimity. And equanimity is what I aspire to. And the moon, I don't know, I just always calling her mother of equanimity, because she reminds me that part of what helps me have equanimity is that larger perspective. That we are caught up in a moment, y'all. And this has been a long time in the making, and it is outside our power to control. So how we live with ourselves and how we live with others, we need to extend our circles of compassion, our circles of care, have conversations with neighbors. I'm sure, of course things got totally messed up after the Hurricane Helene, but in terms of like mis and disinformation, it's just horrible. But right after, people were not helping each other based on who had what political sign in their yard. So can we see that in people? Can we see that in our neighbors? Because this thing of not talking to people who think differently than us, it ain't working, y'all. You know, so I want to talk in closing about this concept of taking refuge. And because I think a lot of us, are in some ways kind of refugees from the harshness of the world, and we come here to this refuge, to this sanctuary. You keep it alive so that other people who are struggling have a place to come and take refuge. In Buddhism, they talk about the 3 jewels, which is the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And taking refuge in the Buddha, for me, what that represents is when I'm looking out there at all the bad actors, all the people who are profiting off of fear, profiting off of hate, and my view of humanity is getting very jaundiced, I can think about the many benefactors in my life. How many benefactors in this congregation right now of my life? I could not possibly list right out of time every person who has touched me, who has given me something. Every person who is committed to being as aware and awake and caring as possible. I can take refuge in that, and the knowledge that humanity is also that. I kind of have this non-scientific theory. I don't know, maybe it is scientific, I don't know. Anyway, it's kind of silly, but that humanity's on different evolutionary tracks. There are people who recognize our interconnection with all of life, that life, that we're here together, that Earth is so generous, that we need to take care of her and enjoy her and celebrate her and thank her, show our gratitude by taking care of her. And then there are people who are doubling down on the whole dog-eat-dog thing. And the Buddha, for me, implies taking refuge in the people who have something affirming in life. Because being anti-anything is not enough. I want to be for something. Taking refuge in the Dharma means there are practices of sanity. There are ways that I can learn to work with my mind and my heart where I'm not nearly as impatient as I used to be. I don't get nearly as irritated or frustrated, and a lot of that goes to breath. I haven't talked enough about that. I could do a whole talk just on breath, intentional breathing. Then taking refuge in the Sangha, we have a small Sangha, and Phyllis Thakis was in the Sangha, and Phyllis is no longer with us. And that simply means we have a place we go every week where we talk about what we're learning and how we're applying it in our lives, where we study together. So this isn't a Sangha, but we're taking refuge with each other. So I think that as we move forward, being a refuge, being a haven for other people, beaming at people. I talk to people everywhere I go, and I continue to do it because I've had so many people say, thank you. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for listening to me. I was having a really hard day today, and I noticed more and more alienation in the world, especially with children after the pandemic and with electronic devices. So we need to be a haven. We need to welcome people. In closing, I'm going to get something from this booklet that I made as part of my ministerial studies that has statements on existence, subjectivity, feminism, and spirituality. And I'm just going to pick something. I have no idea what it is. Existence precedes essence, means that what I do, how I spend my energy and time, how I move in the world, is who I am. In willing freedom, we discover that it depends entirely upon the freedom of others, and the freedom of others depends on our own. I am obliged, well, this part's from Existentialism is a Humanism by Jean-Paul Sartre. I am obliged to will the liberty of others at the same time as my own. I cannot make liberty my aim unless I make that of others equally my aim. And I would say our brothers and sisters that right now are trapped, I feel great sorrow for our brothers and sisters who are trapped in hatred and rage. And I am here to also will their freedom. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here.
I'm feeling the need to just soak up this last song so that I have the essence of today ready to draw on when I need it this coming week. And so, our last song is This Little Light of Mine. It is number 33 in the pink book. This Little Light of Mine is Kindler, Gentler Tea. It's on page number 30, or sorry, song number 33 in the pink songbook.
Light
Thank you for being here this morning. Lovely. Next week we have Marsha and a Day of the Dead service. I have just a quick little parting quote for you from Bell Hooks. There can be no love without justice.
Yeah.